Hola. I was looking through my calendar and I realized that I had scheduled the live last week at 4 o'clock and this week. So I am going to be here for just to be sure if someone had seen the ad and wanted to log on and ask a question. So we are both on YouTube and good morning. I said good morning. Good afternoon. Oh my gosh. But anyway, today I am not going to say anything. It's not going to be about me, my story. You guys know my story. I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have. There are a couple of sisters who are visiting this weekend and they're here. So you may have a question about Maggie, how do I do this? How do I book this? This is your time. Welcome to the live. I am your friend, Maggie. I had two Spanish classes and then I have to update the notes and send the recording. I've been busy and then trying to hola, Ori, Deborah. Hola, señora. ¿Cómo estás? Yes. So this is your time. Hola. If you have any questions, this is your time. I'm not going to offer any advice unless you specifically ask me, whether it's about pensionado visa, whether it's about decluttering, or it's about bank accounts here in Panama, whether it's about, there is a person, I think, well, no, she's not here yet, but she asked about what kind of tours do I go on. And I'm like, well, it's up to what you want to do, right? Because we can give you information, but there is a certain amount of research you have to do on your end, depending on what you want to do, right? Some people want to be, in the beach areas. I don't live in the beach areas. I can tell you intellectually what I know, and I can refer you, how to do that. But I'm in the city, so I can tell you a lot about city life. Not that I am, you know, doing a lot of city related stuff. Cons of living in Panama. Well, that would be, for some people, the heat, the humidity could be a con. But that's Panama City. Because remember, you can go to the mountains and then it's cooler there. Even outside of Panama City, there is a place called Cerro Azul that you can go live there, it's a little bit elevated, but you need a car, right? So those are the things to think about. The food, if you're really, from the west part of the United States, you might miss certain things because you may be into a lot of beefs and potatoes. We don't eat potatoes here, hardly. It's a rice place. But definitely there is potato, there is potato all around. Let's see, a con, the noise in the city, and it's not just in the city. Even if you move to a place in the interior, there are lots of dogs, and the dogs tend to be on the loose side. Like yesterday, where was I yesterday? I was someplace. Oh, I was in one community over here called El Chorillo, and I was walking around and I was stepping, dog poop. So it depends on where you are. So the dogs in the city are supposed to be on leashes, and the owners are supposed to pick up after them. But not everybody does. In the city, in addition to noise, a lot of honking from the cab drivers, but they're not upset. That's how they communicate with each other. This is culture, and I did a video about culture, so you want to watch that. Another thing you might find could be a con, depending on how you feel about it, is the presence of trash. We're still struggling with some areas having more trash than are picking it up on time, and some communities struggle with that. But where we live, most of expats, we don't really have a problem with that. Con, medical care for people who are older. It's not easy, it's a challenge. So you really need to do your homework. My last video last week talked about that Panama will not save you, that you need to have cash, your credit card, and a cushion because Medicare, regular Medicare doesn't work here. Emergency services don't work the same. You call 911, they're going to take you to a public hospital, which is not where you want to go. You have to call your physician. So you have to relearn certain things. Another con, I don't know that there are other cons. Again, it depends on what you want. I want to volunteer in any capacity. Are there lots of opportunities available? There are opportunities. I volunteer. If you look on my Facebook page, I was volunteering this last 2 days with a group of at risk children, and we had a wonderful time. It was great to be with the kids, to inspire them, and to have them be around us because they are in a very, like I said, they're at risk. So their home and community situation is not the best. So we want to inspire them and support them, right? Some people, lots of people who love pets, lots of opportunities to volunteer with pets. Let's see, there are many people who are well connected, more so than I am, to the local communities. But if you want to volunteer, you can volunteer. We have a girl who volunteers with like a theater. Um, but I think as a group SWA, we want to volunteer to adopt like a school and then mentor the kids and watch them grow, right? Um, with our little group, we've done some cleaning, around the beach and a park and stuff like that. And the city is really putting some effort and resources in cleaning up some of the areas, which I'm like, good for that. Hey, Maggie, Auntie, have heard from others that the poop is a problem. Is she? Oh my goodness. Hola, sis. How are you? But anyway, it can be, like I said, where I live in my building, as you go out, the dogs only can use one set of elevators. They're not supposed to be in with the other elevators. That's good. And then as you go out, they'll have a receptacle with bags that you can just take a bag as you go walk your dog and pick up after the dog. But not everybody's doing it. And depending on, hey, Greta, my friend, we miss you. Mwah. Um, certain communities, if they're not like very regulated and then a little bit middle class, higher end, yeah, people are a little bit looser. And the trash, definitely. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yesterday, I was watching where I was going, trying to avoid the poop, and then the trash was up. But that's because it was a very poor community. Listen, Panama is a developing country. It's got its challenges, but it's got so much more going for it that you take it as it comes. You weigh the pros and cons, right? Is there a problem with rats, mice? Not that I know of. Now, in the trash, where the trash has been left to kind of sit there, yeah, I see birds, I see dogs. You might, but it's not like in your face, it's not everywhere. No. Hola, Greta. I miss you too. Yes, I volunteer with my kids. Oh, they're my heart. I have a softness in my heart for the very young and vulnerable, because if I see a kid growing up in a community, in an environment that through no fault of their own, they become prey to gangs and violence and being trafficked, which is a big issue, then I'm like, my heart breaks. And whatever I can do, I can't do a lot, but I can hug him. Like one day I went to the museum with the kids, and I was telling someone there was this little boy. I mean, he was so sad and kept to himself, stayed in a corner, and I went out of my way to, hug him and get him close to me because, well, you know how it is. Even where you are, you have kids who are at risk and neglected. So we help one and we don't know what the impact is going to be. That's how I look at it. I don't have to save the world, but if I can help one. A mosquito-borne illness is an issue. Well, we are in the tropics, right? So you have lots of bugs. We do have not malaria, but we had dengue. Dengue was an issue a few months back. I don't hear them talk about it so much now because we have two seasons. Remember that we have the dry season and the rainy season. We are currently in the rainy season from about, is it May through like early December? That's the rainy season. Oh, we've had a rainy season this season. Last season it didn't rain that much, but this year it's rained a lot. And with that, you have more water sitting around, and every time you have water, mosquito-borne illnesses breed. So dengue fever is one of those illnesses that is mosquito-borne. So the health department here called MINSA, Ministeria de la Salud, they're really giving information on television. They have multiple polyclinics where they tell you you can go get whatever vaccination, and they have programs of spraying in multiple communities. And we have had some deaths, but we don't have encephalitis. I haven't heard. We do have the flu going around, and because we have only two seasons, sometimes the flu is not eradicated, right? And then so it kind of pops up everywhere. And we do have vaccination for older people. And as an expat, I can go to a clinic and get vaccinated for maybe $2 or for free. If they go into a mall, which is where I had mine last year, free. I didn't have COVID one. I think I had the COVID and I had, no, I had the influenza and I had the pneumonia vaccine because I'm at that age that I need the pneumonia vaccine. Because with the flu, most of the people who are most affected are the very young and the very old. That doesn't change. It's the same everywhere, right? So you get your flu vaccine because you know the virus mutates every year. So if you were vaccinated 3 years ago, you're not protected. Um, we had rats in New York City. Oh yeah, you got little cats in New York City. I know. I lived in New York. I know many of the residences have maid quarters. Yes. As an older person, is it feasible to have a live-in nurse? That's a good question. I have a friend who has an elderly parent. I know in Colombia, I don't know if they live in, but one friend has 24-hour caregivers. So she's got them from Monday to Friday, and then she's got another set for the weekend. But like everywhere else, sometimes they have to go home, and sometimes she'll be without. So she'll say, "Oh, I need some help." But slowly, we're having, like I did, have my home care company. They have people that they can dispatch. I think it's a lot easier if you want somebody to come and stay with you Monday to Friday and then they go home in the evening. It's possible that you can hire somebody else to come in the evening and just do every night because they have families, right? But I'm not saying it's impossible, right? But you can get help at home. That's for sure. We have GMO in Florida. Well, I think here, I don't know if they say they have GMO, but where they grow most of the food that come to the country is in the western part of the country, like the Chiriquí province. They call it the breadbasket of Panama. They do spray. I don't know if they have genetically modified stuff, but they do spray their food. So you still have to be careful how you, not as much as what we use over there, but you still have to be careful and wash your fruit, wash your vegetables. And it's not like there is none of that here. That would be, utopia. I grew up in New York City, so trash and sidewalk poop was a challenge. LOL, I'm suburban now, not so much. Yeah. Listen, when you decide to move to any country, I tell people the first thing you do, and I did, you make a list of your must-haves, right? If dog poop and trash are on your top two, then don't come. Okay? But if you're looking for a peaceful country, if you're looking for a country where people are nice and you can have community, if you go coming to a country because of the availability of fresh food and vegetables and affordable living, you decide what your must-haves are, right? And then the rest of it, you're like, I can deal with it. It's a personal decision. No, we're not criticizing anybody. You make decisions for yourself. And that's why I say when you're looking to move abroad, if you're looking to move abroad, you need to choose maybe 2 or 3 countries and then do a spreadsheet and then compare by coming to lives like that, talking to people who are living in those areas, and then get their opinions. It's like Lisbon. Lisbon just had a very bad trolley accident this week. It's not something that happens all the time. We may have an accident here, even though the place might be great, close to perfect. But Lisbon has its challenges: rent, bureaucracy. Every place has something. You just need to decide how important that thing is to you, whether you have it or not, right? Yep. Mosquitoes. I remember when I was visiting here maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I went on a coffee tour, which we were going to because we have really great coffee here. I want you to know. The geisha coffee is the most expensive coffee in the world, and it is grown right here in the western part of the country. I think it's like thousands of dollars for a bag, and I'm like, ooh, we're not gonna touch that. But I love coffee. Um, they if you go, I went on that tour, and then on the way back we were walking from one place to another, and my legs, I got bit. And mosquito and I, we don't do well together. So we tell you, if you're going to go out at night, which is when they seem to go out, and then they go for the lower legs. So always spray your ankles or wear pants, and because they'll bite you to the socks too. Make sure you spray your arm. Just like if you're going out in the middle of the day, we say make sure you put some sunscreen on, okay? Because that's when you would see them at night, and especially in area with the rainy season when water is sitting in puddle. And there is one place I walk past it to go to the metro. There has been like water this high, and every time it rains, because the drainage system is not that great, so that area is going to have some mosquito issues. But I'm on the 38th floor here. I have not seen one mosquito. The other day I was sitting there inside, and outside on the patio I saw like a big old roach running around. I had never seen that here. So I ran to get the spray. By the time I ran, it was gone. But we don't see critters here. Now, I understand in the interior somewhere they have iguanas. Some people see snakes. If you want nature and vegetation, we are in a tropical country. So it comes with the territory. But mosquito as a problem, no. But if you're going to go to the rooftop late at night, make sure you cover up and then you spray, because that's where dengue, you get bit. You don't know which mosquito is infected, right? So be careful. Hola, hola. Are you still using your T-Mobile cell phone? I think you asked me that. No, I no longer have T-Mobile. Now I have 2 phones. I have my iPhone, which is like an old model, and then I did buy an Android, like a cheap. It's a Chinese Android. It's not. What's the other? There is a brand here, Samsung. That was when I was here last time. Samsung was. I made 4 trips to Panama before I retired. And when I came the first 2 or 3 years, Samsung. Oh my God, they've taken over the market. But now this Chinese brand called Honor, Honor, is everywhere, and it's a little bit more affordable. So I have an Android with the local SIM card in it, because when you come to Panama, you need a local number. Okay, you can keep your U.S. number, and it's highly recommended. You need that for your bank and for other transaction you're doing in online. When I was going through South Africa, I made the mistake of turning it my local T-Mobile US number. And I'm like, I'm going to be gone for 3 years. I'm not going to be paying for no reason. Worst mistake, because I didn't stay in South Africa. And when I came back, I could not access my bank account because they're wanting to do the two-step verification and they would not accept a foreign phone number to do that. So don't do that. Keep your US number. But when you come here and you want to do business locally, they will not accept your US number. So you must have a local number. So what I tell people on your iPhone, if you have T-Mobile, tell T-Mobile to unlock your phone. Tell them you're going to be traveling and you're going to insert, you're going to need to insert a local SIM card with a local number. A lot of these, there's like a little hole on the side when you, right here, when you get to the airport, as you exit, there's going to be a kiosk there that says SIM card. If you're visiting for like 7 days, you can buy a 7-day SIM card. They're going to pop the little thing open, the tray comes out. Most phones have spot for two SIM card. You're going to keep your US SIM card and then you're going to put the local SIM card. That way you can have Wi-Fi when you're out. You don't want to be in the streets with no way to call anybody. No bueno. But some people have T-Mobile that have international coverage, right? But if you have the local number, you avoid the roaming charges and all this stuff, right? So it's good to have a local number. I was in Peru. I went to Peru for like maybe 10 days and I bought a SIM card for however many days I was going to be there. So I can get calls. I have Wi-Fi, unlimited messages. You need to be connected wherever you're going. Okay. So some people now, when I do consultation, I say, you don't need to buy another phone. You can just add another SIM card into your existing phone. So you can still use your phone with your family and friends at home, with your bank, and you still have the local number here. It's very important. Okay. You go into the US in a couple of weeks and you're thinking about changing from Mint to T-Mobile. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about Mint, but I've had T-Mobile and I think they have the best international plan. So I would do that. Some people say someone suggested Google Voice. I've never done that, so I can't talk to that. I don't know how that works. Do you have a separate international package along with your regular cell phone? You know, the number that I have here in the plan, I can call the US. And remember, most everybody here in Panama, we use WhatsApp. So before you come here, download WhatsApp on your phone and you can talk to anybody wherever in the world. When I was in South Africa, my WhatsApp worked. Family and friends, it's free. You don't pay anything. I don't understand how it's still free. Shh. But it is. And here with businesses, friends, each other, WhatsApp, WhatsApp, WhatsApp. But you can still call. I can call the US because now that I don't have my T-Mobile number, I even went home last February and I said, okay, I need to fix this banking issue. I'm going to get another number. I did, but when I came here, my bank would not recognize it because it realizes I was out of the country. And when I called T-Mobile, they said, oh, we don't have a tower here in Panama, so you're not going to be able to communicate. So make sure you ask T-Mobile how far their coverage is, or keep your T-Mobile for your US transaction and get a local SIM card. Sorry, my window's open. One of the very rare days where I can leave the window open that I'm not, sweating. You asked before, I just wanted to review because I'm considering changing cell phone. Okay, you can do that because most of us have two phones, but now you can have one, but with two different SIM cards. Yep. Anything else? Any other questions? It's the rainy season here, and it's been raining. We've had lots of storms early in the morning, in the middle of the night. I love a nice storm. I really do. I mean, the lightning can get a little bit scary up here because I'm kind of closer to the sky. 38th floor. It's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of close. I love WhatsApp. Yeah. Signal is another app like WhatsApp. Oh, I've never heard of it. But WhatsApp is so well known that I mean, like I said, I have no clue why it's still free to use. Anything else, you guys? Ishi, wow. Watching from Florida. Oh boy. I am late, but I just got back from Embera. Oh wow, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you're safe because they had a little incident there not too long ago. Some people got robbed. And you guys know I got robbed 2 years ago here. They took my wallet out of my backpack, but that was my mistake. I had the backpack and I had my wallet in there. Usually you're supposed to put it in the front or use a crossbody. Now I only use a crossbody. But yeah, they took my wallet, took all my credit cards and started charging, 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 charging. And this is what happened when I got robbed. I had the two phones. Because my iPhone did not have Wi-Fi, the bank was asking questions about the transaction, but the transactions plural, but I wasn't getting them because I didn't have Wi-Fi. So when I got to my apartment, as I was opening the door, the messages were coming. Did you make that transaction? Did you authorize it? By that time, it was about hour and a half, and the guy had used all my credit cards and charged like $6,500 worth of stuff. So that was a lesson I learned about making sure I have the phone that's connected to your bank. You have to have Wi-Fi when you're not at home so that if anything happens, right? Because you set up your alerts. And again, after that, I have alerts for everything. You get your balances every day. We have a sister this week who said somebody deposited a check in her account and it was a big mess and they locked her account. Yeah, all kinds of things can happen. So the tighter you have your system, to notify you, and then setting some daily limits on your card, on your account, saying no more than $500 a day or 1,000 a day, so that if they get you for that, then that's it. They're not going to be able to charge more. And the banks are very tight now. If they see, and the thing for me, before I left, I remember years ago when I was traveling to Europe, I would say, "Oh, I'm going to be traveling for those days," and I say, "Thank you. If we see anything unusual, we'll notify you." Last time I was coming here, I said, "I'm traveling to Panama." They said, "Oh, you no longer need to tell us. If we see anything, we'll let you know." Well, the guy charged $6,300, and then the first two, because he used multiple cards, the first two transactions, they just set it through, and I'm like, anyway, we live and learn, right? Yeah. But I was able to get all my money reimbursed. But anyway, my social security card wasn't there, my driver's license. I mean, and this is another thing that we learned. Do not take all that with you when you go out. Not your passport, you get copies of things, and that's crazy. And you feel so violated. Then I had to figure out how to manage that because I had to go to the police department. I had like $15 left to my name, and I had to find a police department. Then I had to sit there and give a report in Spanish. Thank God I speak Spanish. And then I had to take it all the way to the bank because you cannot file a claim without having that police report here in Spanish with all the details. This was the thing. She wanted to know, what time do you think they took? Because the boy, I'm walking, he bumped into me and then he said, "Excuse me," and he passed me. I know better than that. I watched all these videos about how they pickpocket people, and I was talking to this friend, and we just keep blah, blah, blah. I did not say, "Why did he bump into me?" That's when he did it. He was a professional. So we went to lunch. I'm eating the whole time. He's swiping, swiping, swiping. So when they brought my bill, and I went to get my wallet, and it was like, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." Then I still had to get home. And then that's when the messages started coming. So I had to call. Thank God he didn't take my phone. And I had to call to say, no, 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 freeze the account, freeze, freeze, freeze. And then after I did all that, then I had to find my way to the police station, give my report. It took a couple of days. Nothing happens in one day in Panama. Okay, that's another because she's like, come, you need to come back tomorrow. And I'm like, tomorrow? I don't have a lot of money to come here because, I had no cash. Can't go to the ATM. And so we got it done. Then I had to, you know, find my way back to the bank. A lot of walking because then, I couldn't call Uber because, I don't know. I don't have any money in my account. Oh, it wasn't. CJ Griffin, is that Carol? Oh my God, you're my friends. My old friends are on. That's amazing. How are you, Miss Retired? Congratulations. She's retired teacher. Hey, so good to see you. I watch you all the time with all your travel, your cruising, and your food and all that. You and your hubby. That's amazing. Let's see. Any big plans for this evening? Are you going out or staying in? Miss Bush Cherry, let's see. Actually, I need to go to the store. Well, I have a consultation call after this. And then I have to find my way to the store to buy what I'm going to need for the live tomorrow. It is September. It's going to be fall is here type of uh, theme for September. So we're going to be doing all fall stuff. So I'm thinking, fall soup and fall salad. And I did a poll on the YouTube site, and some people want grains. So we'll cook some grains. So I still have to sit here. Today's been really nonstop between my Spanish classes, this, my call, and I have to find my way out again. So no, I'm not staying in. Ivan Maxi, what are you guys doing to me tonight? Oh, my old friends are on from Lakeland, from Florida. That's terrible, you guys. I'm not even looking. I just Yvonne, good to see you, my friend. Carol and somebody else was on. But anyway, I saw somebody on my live the other day saying Carol Broadnax, and I remember Broadnax. She used to go to church with me, Carol. Do you remember her? Anyway, I thought it was her, but I'm like, is that the same Carol Broadnax? I don't think she responded. I was thinking about going to the first Saturday gathering hosted by Glenn and Sherry Brooks. I think, isn't it this morning? I think they do it on Saturday morning. Yeah. So today's Saturday, so they should have done it today. I don't know what Saturday of the month they do it. I'm going to be driving and listening now. That's good, Auntie. Good for you. Yeah, Glenn and Sherry, I think they do the breakfast. I don't know if it's first Saturday. I don't know because I've never been to one. I can't go anywhere on Saturday morning, unfortunately. Grace to change. Did you put a freeze on your credit report? I haven't done that. Somebody told me to do that. I have not. I need to do that. But I check it every so often. And that's one thing, you work so hard to maintain your good credit. And it didn't affect my credit though, because Bank of America was really good once I filed the claim. They even put money in the account to cover my regular debits while they were researching it. And the bank here in Panama, Benismo, was the first to reimburse my money once I presented them with the police report. Then it wasn't a problem. Because without that, and then now I'm paying like maybe a few dollars a month for extra security on my account. I know. It's crazy. You remind me of living in South America. You said, well, we are in Central America. We're close. You said, yeah, he bumped into me. Is it a classic move? And I was, duh, you know better than that. I mean, I see how they pickpocket you when you're in those double-decker buses. When I was traveling to Europe one time, oh my God, they made me feel so scared. Oh, when you go to Europe and you get on the train, be careful, you can't sleep. They're gonna come and I mean, I was sitting like this. I took an overnight train from Barcelona to, is it England, to London, and it was like I was so scared. But I never got robbed in Europe, not once, not once. Uh, yes. Listen, if I didn't speak Spanish, that would have been hard. For me, it was a three-page legal size paper, and everything I said, she was handwriting it. They handwrite everything. I think I remember I went to get my phone thing, and then she had a computer, a laptop. She put everything, and then she pulled a piece of paper and she put everything. I'm like, you just did it on the computer. Why are you putting it on the phone? I don't know. And they still gave me a receipt, a long receipt, And then she said, I'll email it to you. I'm like, oh, okay. You just have to go along with. You're doing great, wonderful, Carol. Whew, let's see. Keep smiling. Listen, it wasn't the only thing that happened to me here. I got scammed by the border people to Costa Rica, and I ended up paying $1,000 fine. I did a video about that too. I haven't had anything happen to me in a little while, so I'm blessed. And this girl said, Maggie, do we need to come bail you out? Oh my God, that was terrible. You know what I say? I can't be attached to money. If I lose $1,000 here and there, it's money, right? I'm not gonna let that steal my joy. I really am not. Bank of America, yeah. When I came back from the US in February, I got the new phone number. So I went in there and put it in for my two-step verification. And then it was like, no, we don't want that number. So I kept calling after being on hold for like 45 minutes. They're like, finally, after several calls, she's like, well, no, we can help you. The system locked you out. And then this last person, after a week of calling every day, he said, the more you try to access the account, the tighter the security. She said, let it be. Don't try to log on. Give it a week or two, and then it will reset. And that's exactly what happened. When I quit trying, and then it just opened up, and then I'm like, okay, no more US number. And then finally now I'm able to get my code, second two-step, via email. And I'm like, and I'm very careful when I'm putting the codes. I don't want to miss the number because I don't want them to freeze my account again. Stasha Turner, hola, my friend. Oh my God, I'm having all kinds of visitors today. That's amazing, you guys. First Saturday, is that for Glenn and Sherry's? Okay, what is, oh, so today is your first Saturday. Okay, so it would have been this morning. Yes, they usually have a lot, nice enough group. Yeah, that's good. We have all kinds of groups here in Panama. My group is single women retiring abroad, right? We are on our little chat. We take care, we keep up with each other. Then we meet once a month. We do an educational program. We've had programs on emergency management, dementia. Me and my nursing, and I was a psychiatric nurse practitioner. So I'm into the dementia and the depression, anxiety kind of thing. We did a program on emergency management. How you're supposed to have your emergency bag ready with all your medical, legal information. We're all living here alone. We don't have people coming here and checking on us. So a lot of us are going to probably die in this apartment. They're going to find us after a few days. So we check on each other every day. And then we tell you to put your information in a folder, have some information on your door going out, like you would do in the States for like the do not resuscitate, which they don't do here. And put your cedula, which is your ID number, your passport number, your next of kin here, your emergency contact at home, where you live, so that they'll know your doctor. Because here, if you have an emergency, you don't call 911, you call your doctor, as long as you're conscious, and then it directs you as to where you go. Because the public system, they don't recommend that we go into that system unless you have no coverage and you have no way of paying for your care. That's the thing about being old here in Panama. You can't use regular Medicare. If you have a Medicare Advantage, you can only use it in an emergency. So everything else you have to pay out of pocket. Now people are using something called MiniMed, which is like a subscription that you can go get your labs. I guess they can manage your chronic illnesses as long as they're not out of control. But to me, they are more like an urgent care type of outfit, even though they do have a hospital. And that's what happened. One sister ended up in MiniMed. She was having a stroke. But they say you need ICU. And for the ICU, they're like, here's your credit card. Can we charge $5,000, $6,000 so we can give you care? If you don't have that, they're gonna send you to the public hospital. So before you come to Panama, make sure you have some money to this on the side to help you go to your doctor, your eye doctor, your dentist, your well exams, right? If you end up in the hospital for something that is unplanned, that's considered emergency, then your Medicare Advantage, not regular Medicare, will cover you. Some hospitals, I think one here in the city, maybe the one in David, they will direct bill the insurance company for your care. But before, or the other hospitals, credit card, they pre-charge what they think your care is going to cost. And then at the end, when you get it to be discharged, they itemize everything and they do your charge. If it's less than what they had put on your card, they will charge the additional. I mean, no, if it's less, they're going to give you a credit. If it's more, then they're going to charge your card. So you need to have a card that is clear. Mini-med, you can go get your lab work. But you know, I can walk into any laboratory like I did 2 years ago. I haven't done it this year, and say, I need this lab. But I'm a medical person. I know what I need, right? You don't. So mini-med would work for you, or get a regular doctor. The doctors here are amazing. And the cost of going to a doctor for a visit, 35 up to maybe 80, $85. How much do you pay for that at home? This sister, I think we went to the public hospital. She had labs, a CAT scan, X-ray, or whatever. It was like $200 or $300. So it is very affordable, but it's not. You have to pay. There is no indigent care in Panama. They're not required to take care of you. You can go to a public hospital, they will take care of you. Even though the cost is very minimal, you still have to, check out and pay your bill before you discharge. Now, if you can't pay, I don't know what happens to you. I don't know if I make you sweep the floor or whatever. But then you can call one of us and say, please call, get me out or whatever. We could help. But make sure you think about all these things before you come to Panama. There's a sister, she did a presentation on Colombia. Colombia, next door to us, to the east. Once you get your residency, you can sign on to the public health system. At least you can get seen. Stephanie Perry, who is very well known in our circle, she just moved to Colombia. She said she bought a package for $1,800 a month that includes everything. It's like a concierge program. What you don't want to do is go bare. You're not going to go bankrupt like you do in the US, thank goodness, but you still can pay, right? So in my case, I'm like, I don't want all the bells and whistles. I really don't care about all that. And if you want to keep your regular Medicare and just pay for, the regular stuff, you can do that. Some people choose to go to the States every year, get all their tests done, all their screening. You can do that. But things happen here that you may not know. People have fallen, broken things. Some people have died in hospitals here. It does happen. Listen, life happens, okay? I'm so glad you could see me. Gertha, so good to see you, my friend. $1,000. Yes, I was charged $1,000. And then it was like, what happens if I can't pay? And then I had a trip to the US the week coming. He said, well, if you don't pay, we would put something on your record. When you get to the airport, they're gonna say, oh, you can't travel because you have an unpaid tax or fine. And I remember the thing they put on the paper, it said something like I was escaping, the frontera or something. And I'm like, oh my God, I might be on the list. Oh, goodness. I just love that your gathering have a purpose. Oh, you mean, yes, for SWA, yes. We always do something educational. And this month, the third Thursday of the month, I think I'm going to do one. We're going to call it woman to woman kind of thing, because some of the ladies are like, yeah, I'd love to hear about managing, transitioning into this place, retiring, moving to another country. That's emotionally disturbing, you guys. So don't pretend that every day you're going to be happy, happy. There's something called the honeymoon phase here in when you move abroad. After the oopla, the ooh ah, the beautiful apartment, it's like reality sets in, and sometimes a little depression will set in because you're away from family, everything that's familiar to you. You can't find your regular food that you know. You're missing your hair products if you didn't bring a whole bag full. You're missing your regular restaurants, the familiar. Okay, so there's a grieving process that goes on, and you need to understand that and be prepared for it, not shy away from it. You're not crazy because you feel in the dumps once in a while. I think if you hang out with Sister Stasha there, you'll be good because she's always on the go. She don't have time to be depressed. I'm more of an indoor kind of person, but I stay busy. Like today, I don't have time to be depressed. I have to do this, this, this. Now I'm using a Google Calendar. I have so much on it. When people call, I'm like, wait, I cannot commit until I look at the calendar because I have messed myself up several times. Tracy Hendricks, hola, how are you? All right, let's see. You getting your clothes via email? What does that mean? Your mail. Are you going to have something shipped over? She's spilling all fat. Thank you, Mahalia. I should have said, I'm getting my bank codes via email. Oh, good. Shh. We don't want them to know. Nercida. Okay, you guys are just giving it to me today. Nercida. Hola, mi amor. ¿Cómo estás? I work with this lady at, what is the place we used to work at again? Conway Health and Rehab. ¿Cómo estás, Nercida? Okay, let's see. Hospitals will admit you, but they will hold you hostage. That's what I said. I don't know what happens if you can't pay. I don't think you're allowed to leave. And then in some hospital, they won't even swipe a card. You got to bring cash. Make sure you ask the right question. Oh, and something that someone told me in the public hospitals. When I was in Africa, I saw it. You get admitted, the bed is bare, the plastic cover. So your family needs to bring your sheets, your covers, your pillowcases. They have to come and bathe you. I was shocked because I don't know how many people I have bathed as a nurse, even though it wasn't my job, it was my nursing assistant's job. I remember when I had my company, my home care company, many times you have people scheduled, they call off sick, you know how it is. And I always have my lab coat hanging on my office door. I have my shoes, a pair of shoes in my nursing bag, always there on the ready in case somebody doesn't show up. And one day I had a little person that needed a bath and I couldn't find a CNA home health aide to go. So I jumped into my car and I went. Thank God I took my suit off. I had my shirt. So I go in there, I put my lab coat on and I gave her a bath. I didn't put my name tag. I just put Maggie. And then she called the office. She said, can I have that little nurse assistant back? She gave me such a good bath. I want her to come back. So you do what you have to do. Let me tell you, I have done it all. I have gone to see patients like at 10 o'clock at night. Somebody was discharged, needing an IV hooked up at 11 p.m. in Haines City. So those of you watching over here, you know where that is. So I remember getting in my car. I don't think Google Maps was working there because you get into certain areas, don't use Google Maps. It's going to send you to the lake, right? So I'm calling the person on the phone. He's like, keep coming, keep coming. Our directions would be when you get to that tree, you're gonna see a slab of paint. Just turn right on that dirt road. So it's like 10:30 at night, pitch black. I'm doing it. So he said, keep coming, keep coming. So I'm going slow. And then he said, okay, you're almost there. You're almost there. What do you see? So I'm describing what I see. And then he said, okay, you're going to see a house way back there. I'm going to stand on the porch with my phone with the flashlight. You're going to see. I said, okay. So I got there and there's a gate. And then he said, okay, you can park there. And then he said, hurry in. We have wild hogs here at night. Story of my life. I'm telling you, I can write a book. I was just dying. I'm like, wild hog? They said, yes, we have wild hogs at night. I'm like, oh my God. Oh God. Yes. So if you get to the public hospitals and you need to be discharged and you don't have cash, you're going to have to call a sister or two to come and bring you the cash so we can get you out. Okay. Yes. But I was at Santo Tomas, which is the largest public hospital in Panama, and it's here maybe 2 blocks from me. And the ICU, I was in there, it looked pretty decent. It was big. They had an area for cardiopulmonary, so if you had a heart attack or a stroke, you were in there. And the people were not in different beds, you were just like right next to each other. So if you have something contagious or whatever, so wear your mask because but it was big and it looked decent. You know, if you need care, you got to pray and go with it, right? Family has to bring you food too. Oh, okay. But I know when I was in Ghana, that's what I saw. If and they give you the slip for your family to go pay for your IV, for your labs, for your tests. There is no law that said we have to do all this stuff before you can pay. No bueno. Mm-mm, not here. You go get what you need, then you get the care. Be careful, ladies. Make sure you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, okay? Panama is great, but it's not paradise. And there are ways you need to learn how the system works. Now, you can buy international insurance. You can pay with Cigna, Aetna, I think, not Humana, but Blue Cross. They do have international plans, but you have to ask them. But then as you get older, it's pricey because here, this is the thing. If you're like in your 40s, you can get a plan, buy it, and lock it in. Because once you hit 65 here, it's like nobody wants to touch you. They say you have high blood pressure. Even if it's controlled, it's considered a pre existing condition. Who lives to be 65 and not have a pre existing something? Very few people, if any, right? So that's why they want to minimize their risks of you getting sick and them having to pay money to take care of you. So they want to cover the young people. So if you want a plan to cover you as you get old, you're going to pay your $1,500, $2,000 a month. And who can afford that? Not many people can. They do the same thing in Panama. No hospital sheets. Family has to bathe you. We're talking about the public hospitals, not the private hospitals are stellar, okay? But of course, their prices reflect their care, okay? What if you don't have family? Then you call your friends. You call friends to come and help you. Um, Wild hogs. Yes, that's what I know. That was funny. You know, I ran in there, right? I know, I know. Well, as nurses, we have stories we can tell because we've all been through some difficult things. I remember in the States going to see a little lady in a house, and I got there, I have my nursing bag. There was roaches everywhere. And I don't do roaches either. So I'm walking, just tapping, watching. And the cute little lady sits there. This is her environment. And then she looked at me, she said, honey, have a seat. And I'm like, oh, it's okay, ma'am. I'm good. There's no way I was gonna sit down. I don't know what's crawling into my pockets or whatever. And I'm like, no. Michael Robinson, hola. Sierra Picote. Hello. But you know, we had like a box of, she had a wound on her foot, and I was supposed to bandage it. And I looked in that box and I lifted, and they all came crawling out. And I'm like, oh my God. So I had a few items in my bag. So I'm doing her dressing with my bag on my shoulder. I didn't even trust to put it down. So we have people living in those conditions in the States. That's why when people talk about Panama, and I'm like, you have the same, if not worse, in your own country. So do not point the finger, okay? Don't point the finger. Um, anything else? You guys have any other questions? My experience with Columbia Public, my family had a room by themselves after back surgery. The problem was aftercare, wound care, and language barrier. Language barrier is a huge issue when you are in an emergency situation. You know, and Stasha, who's watching here, can attest to the fact that she helped her sister because she speaks Spanish too, and into translating. You know, imagine you don't feel good, you stress. Even if you did Duolingo and you know a few words, they escape you because you're not in a frame of mind to remember that. So a lot of physicians here in Panama are bilingual. Some of them, you know enough, because I remember talking to a physician who was seeing one of our sisters. I mean, she said she spoke English, but it was really broken, very minimal, right? So when the doctor, who might speak a word of English or two, goes away, then you're left with the staff. If you say, I need pain medication, then you have to yank out your Google Translate to say you need pain medication. So it kind of becomes tedious when you can't really communicate. And that's what I do with my Spanish classes. And I'm like, you need to be able to communicate your needs and understand what's being said to you. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to speak Spanish perfectly, but you got to train your ear to listen. You might ask him to speak más despacio, tell him to speak, slower, but you need to get to the point where you can communicate. And in fact, the sister, I think Sherry, the person mentioned earlier, she was in the hospital a couple of times. And she did a video about that. She said, I used to tell people, you don't need to know Spanish. And that's why some people tell you when you come here, oh, so many people speak Spanish here. You don't need to learn Spanish. You go to the restaurant, the little waiter who knows 10 words of English, he wants to use them on you. But you might get something that you didn't order because they're not fluent. So once you get in the hospital, she said, I changed my mind. You do need to learn Spanish. So as much as it is a burden, and I tell people all my students are older, so the brain is a little bit slow. It's hard to retain. But what choice do you have? And that's another thing you need to do when you're doing your self-assessment that I'm always encouraging you to do before you move abroad. How likely are you to learn? How easy is it going to be for you to learn a new language? Okay. Or you're going to stay in that expat bubble. We call it the expat bubble, meaning that you are going to just stay in the group. You go eat with them, you walk with them, you play tennis with them, you swim with them. How are you ever going to learn Spanish? You got to immerse, you got to put yourself in situation with the locals, so you force yourself. And it's an act of the will. I mean, I can only tell you, but I tell people I've been around Spanish since I was in middle school, because we had to learn Spanish when I was in school, period. And I've loved the language and I've kept up with it so I can be fluent. Even at home in Florida, I always was watching novelas at night. I'm listening to Spanish radio. I made sure I was always listening and hearing so I didn't forget it. Okay? So it's up to you. But I know after a while it's going to become difficult when you really can't. But even in my classes, some people start and then they're like, oh, that's too hard. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I'm like, okay, sis, good luck. That's all I can tell you. Because you put into it, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And because you're older, you got to put in more effort because your brain is older. Not that you can't learn, it's just going to take you a little bit more effort, right? OT, hola Linda. My daughter is a PT. Yeah, work on your Spanish. I'm a speech pathologist who used to do home therapy with children. Oh, great. I brought my own stool, wore different shoes to enter some homes, never put it back down. Oh my God. That is such good advice. You don't know what you're going to take home with you. You remember COVID where you had to strip in the garage? It's almost that bad because some of these homes, I used to go in homes that they had so much termite that I was afraid to step in, that the floor was going to go in. Some people live in really dire situations at home. So unless you're a home care person, you don't know. But we've seen it all. I went into a home one time. I had a guy who was discharged from Temple General with a defibrillator in his heart. And nobody wanted to go because the family situation was cray cray. They had a lot of abuse. They had people with guns and other things. So I'm like, well, we took the referral. I have to go. So la jefa, right? So I'm the boss. The bus stops here. So I said, I'm going to go. So I told the staff, I said, okay, it takes me this long to get to this guy's house. It was in Balto, which is like 20 minutes from my house. And I think I anticipate being in there for 30 minutes. And I told him, if I don't call you back in an hour saying I'm heading out, call 911. Because I was entering into a danger zone. And nurses have gotten killed in homes in the US with people start fighting and somebody shoots a gun. Well, you know the gun situation, and nurses have gotten killed. God has protected me. It wasn't my turn, but it can happen. I had to have a tracheostomy in Panama. Oh, and couldn't speak. Had to use my phone to communicate. Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty good at using the Google Translate. My daughter was here the other day, and I'm standing waiting for her at the airport. Then my phone rings, and then it's like, La Señora Maggie. I'm like, yes. He said, do you have a daughter coming? I'm like, yeah. Are you keeping my baby? I thought they were keeping her over there. He said, no, ma'am, she didn't have your address. So I'm like, Raphael, you didn't have my address? So I give him the address. And and they did Google Translate to talk to her. So they're really good at doing that here. But now the server in your restaurant may not know how to use Google Translate, but if you go in an office and stuff, they will. But what I'm saying, don't get hung up on that. You know, don't hold Google Translate like a security blanket. Try to learn some stuff. You know, how to go to the doctor, how to go to the store, how to bargain, how to barter. For prices because you don't want to pay those gringo prices. But surround yourself with locals and ask them how to say things. That's really how you're going to progress. And my friend Sonia, she's been doing Duolingo for like 2 years now. And she said she can understand a lot more because you will understand before you can speak. The speech is the last one to come. Well, yeah, I was close to Orlando, and all the time they would say, Maggie, there's a patient who needs Spanish. And I had to go see that patient. And I remember going to one patient's home doing home care, and it was like a little older lady. And I'm like, Senora, how long do you have? How much time do you have living in the US? She said, oh, mi hija, 26 años, 25 years. And I'm like, Senora, and you still don't speak any Spanish? She said, oh, no, no me importa, no me interesa. She's not interested. And that's the thing. And she said to me, I can't understand how I went to the hospital and nobody spoke Spanish. And I'm like, Senora, you are in the United States. It's up to you to, to speak English. Yes. The old people did not want to learn. And here I see some expats. Some people don't like the word expats, but foreigners who don't want to learn Spanish. And I've also read of people who've been in Colombia, Ecuador, other places. This guy was like for 17 years. And then he went back. He said he got so frustrated not being able to learn Spanish. Don't let that be you. Okay? 3 months ago, I was very sick. Oh, I went to ProCare Clinic. I received ProCare has a stellar reputation. I've been here 2 years and I haven't been to a doctor yet. But I doctor myself, and thank God I've never been sick. I went to the lab and I say I want this test, that test. They took my lab, email it to me within 2 hours. I had the results. There is no what do we call that in the states? Um, HIPAA. The HIPAA thing about nobody can talk about. No, you get your lab, they email it to you. They don't care about that, right? And so I knew, what I was looking at. There were a couple of things in my lab I didn't like, but it was because I wasn't eating any protein. So I kind of fixed that, got some vitamin B12 and some folate. But when I want to go to a doctor, I'm going to ProCare Clinic. They have really good reputation. And most doctors here would do IVs. They do some basic things. And the lab could be right next to their office. And doctors here would give you their phone number. They give you their WhatsApp number. They say, call me. My friend, Stasha and I friends, she was having an episode and she's like, oh, I don't feel good in the middle of the night. Excuse me, she didn't call the doctor. She called, I think, like 5 or 6. And the doctor said, how come you didn't call me? She's like, I didn't call you in the middle of the night. He said, I gave you my number for a reason. They will pick up the phone and talk to you. Who does that? I think they do in Colombia, and I've heard they do that in Mexico también. So it's a cultural thing that is so different from what we used to in the West. Okay? Doctor spending 90 minutes listening to you, getting your history. What? Yes. Very scary. What's scary, Mahalia? It's respectful to learn the language of the country. Yeah, at least try, right? My your daughter is dying laughing. What's she laughing about? Because I'm making her laugh? Well, I laugh at myself. You live by yourself, you talk to yourself, you laugh at yourself, you laugh with yourself. So, what are you gonna do? Oh, they do house call. Yes, indeed. We have doctors here. If you say, and it's not your regular doctor. I don't know if ProCare doctors do. I know Dr. Duncan does. He's a doctor that a lot of foreigners, people like us, go see. He does, he gives you IVs. He's got a lab in his office, and he will come to your house, makes a house call, give you a shot in your butt or whatever you need. Hello. When was the last time you had a doctor make a house call to your house? They call people like me, the nurse practitioners, to do it, but not the doctors. But guess what? Here, they don't have nurse practitioners. And people brag about their doctor comes to see you. Well, as a nurse practitioner, I'm like, okay, I know that we do really good care in the States, but here people are used to their doctor. So they do house calls indeed. And because so many expats are coming here, it's a business opportunity for a lot of other practices. The other day, you get a lot of ads on Instagram and stuff. There is a female doctor who does visit for diabetic feet. And I remember when I was in home care, that was a deal to have a doctor go to your home, cut your nails, look at your feet, because, in diabetics, that's important, foot care. And this doctor is doing that. There are some plans here where they do include house call in their program. There's a sister who says she has a plan, kind of like the mini med. You have a doctor visit, they do lab. They have Most hospitals have their own ambulance services. Ooh, that is different from the States, right? I said, if you call 911 here, they're going to take you to a public hospital. If you call your doctor, you say, I'm having this problem. The doctor knows which facility, which hospital is most appropriate for whatever your problem is. He would refer you to that hospital, call the hospital sends their own ambulance to come get you, whether you're at home or whether you're at the clinic. And then it sends the records of what it thinks is happening to you, so it's well coordinated. This is different from what you're used to. So that's why you have to learn the how things are done in your new home. So you need to ask people who are here or who have experimented or experienced the system. And one of their sisters was in the hospital. She did go to a private hospital, but even though she had the Medicare Advantage for emergencies, they still put a hold on her credit card for like $500 so they can start her care, give her IV, do the labs, the basic thing. They need to know they're going to get paid for that before they touch you. So, and they were getting um, what's the word I'm looking for? They were looking for approval for whatever she from the insurance company. And while somebody was on the phone with the $500, they were able to start giving her care. And then once everything was done, they reimbursed the $500 because then they were able to submit the claim to the insurance company. This is new for Panama because for years you had to pay first the whole time you were in the hospital, whatever the amount was, and then the hospital would give you the claim for you to submit to your insurance company, and then you had to hash it out with the insurance company. And you know how that went. Somebody said it took him like 8 or 9 months to get paid. Yeah, that's the U.S. system. You know how that works. Yep. And I tell people if you have medical conditions that need close monitoring, what you want to do is to make a consultation call with a physician on the ground. There's a sister, I talked to her, we did a consultation, and she's like, I need these medications, and I have my lifeline. I say, you better make sure you can find those medications here before you pack your bags and come. So you want to make a consultation call with either a physician at ProCare or Dr. Duncan or somebody who's going to say, oh, yeah, we can do that. We do have a cancer center here. You know, you can get this medication because many times it's not the same brand. It may be a generic because they're called differently here in South America. Some people even fly to Colombia to get some medication because Colombia is kind of better in medicine because it is a destination country that what do they call that? Tourism, medical tourism is big in Colombia, so they're really used to dealing with foreigners and insurance and all of that. So they may be a little bit ahead of Panama in that case. So you want to make sure, and so, like I said, some people fly to Colombia to get their medication and back. Some people get their medication sent via Amazon. Yep. Healthcare sounds like it's more caring in Panama. Definitely, definitely. Physicians spend time with you, and a lot of time when they see you the first time, they're taking you off multiple medications because you know there are a lot of duplications over there. You have 5 different doctors prescribing. Nobody is talking to each other. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. It's a mess. And that's what we used to do in home care. We would say, "Oh, bring your medication." They bring you a bag, and many times there are multiple duplication and you wonder why you don't feel good, so they would take you off medication. This one doctor is more of a holistic kind of doctor, so he's going to tell you what you can do to manage your diabetes instead of giving you pills and pills and pills, right? Hi Maggie, I'm happy to catch my first live. I've been a subscriber. Thank you so much for that for a long time. I appreciate that. Thank you for all you do to help all single women. Well, listen, we're a sisterhood because we're all getting older together. So that's why I talk about things like dementia, depression, urinary incontinence, all the regular stuff that happens to us as we age. We can escape it, right? Okay. Any other questions, you guys? I'm so glad so many of you tuned in this afternoon. And I was like, I don't know if I should come on, but just in case somebody has a question. So we can just plan on doing this every Saturday and then just write your questions and come and let's do the kumbaya and talk to each other. But I have to tell you that Panama, and you know my story, I'm not going to repeat it, that I came to see the Panama Canal and I was sitting in a boat and watching the monkeys in the trees and the water was calm and I was just visiting and I just had that sense of well-being. I'm like, oh wow, I really like this place. But I wasn't ready to retire then. I was just thinking, I need to come back and visit. So I say Panama chose me because I just felt a connection to Panama. Panamanians are very family oriented. So when I go somewhere and I say, "Well, do you have family here?" Even the Uber drivers, I'm like, "No, estoy aquí sola." "Oh, you by yourself?" They cannot fathom it. Where we over there feel proud that we live alone by ourselves. This is not something that is. They kind of look at you like, "Really? You don't have your mama with you, your sister, hermano, sobrina?" Mm-mm. They can't understand it. So I am rewiring my brain to say, I wish I had done things differently. I wish I did not teach my kids to just get up and go. Because now it's like, as you get older, I tell people, make peace with your kids because you might need them. Don't be so stubborn and proud. I hear people saying, I haven't talked to my sister in 10 years. I don't understand that. Okay? As you get older, you need to make peace with your children. You don't want to be found in disappointments by yourself and then you go back there saying, "Oh, I wish I had done this." Do it now. Have the conversation. Make peace because we all need each other. You need your kids. All right? You're welcome, Auntie. Novelas are fun. Oh, yes. I still watch my novelas aquí también. Sí. And over here, they have a bunch of novelas from Turkey, believe it or not. I don't see novela from España because Spain has a heavy influence here because Spain colonized Panama. That's why we speak Spanish here, right? But they have a lot of Turkish uh, novelas. They have those shows that are not like what do we call those that we used to watch every day after school? I used to run school to watch those programs. And all the station had different ones because those go on and on and on and on. The novelas here, they do have an ending, which is different, which I like. Hola, Linda. Soap operas. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, sometimes I'm thinking of something and I can't come up with the word. But I know as long as I don't put my shoes in the microwave, I'm okay. That's when you start worrying, when you're like, did I put that in the microwave? It's like, oh, if you're not connecting the dots, then you're in trouble, right? But if you say, I forgot the name of my children, no, that's okay. They'll come back to you the next day. Listen, there is I think he's Canadian or he's from, mm, not Australia. I think it's Canadian. There is a company called Panama Home Care. Now, I had reached out to him saying, I don't mind volunteering because as a jubilada, which means retired, I cannot really work here, even though I could own a business. But I don't know how that's working out. I know they have several people who say they offer home care services. In fact, I belong to a group, and someone today was asking if there's a nurse who can come and take care of an older person, and they give different names. So we have individuals you can hire to do one on one. So it's not through an agency per se. But then there was my friend who is in a wheelchair here, needed a caregiver. And there is a lady who manages a group of people she can dispatch to different homes. I don't know if a home care agency or not. But listen, that would be great. I mean, to our standards. In my group, we have a coda. But she's retired, right? And I met this nurse who was a nurse here, and the nursing practice here is totally different from what we used to over there. But I was talking about how I need to get those systems in place for our sisters so that when we start needing help, then we don't have to scratch our head. We can say, okay, we have these people here, whether it's under an umbrella of a business or not. And she's like, I can help you with that. I can help you with that. So their nurses apparently they do some of the stuff that the LPNs do at home, the hands-on dressing change, bathing, and all that. And I don't know yet if they have the RN, LPN things here. I know they don't have advanced practice nurses. It's doctors. Whatever you need, your doctor will do. I've never taken part in a chat, but I enjoy your content. Thank you so much. Yeah, we do. I do know a couple of physical therapists that will come and work with you at home. They do home visits, and they do have some rehab centers where you can go and exercise with them. But I haven't met an OT here in Panama, so no say. Sounds like a plan, Linda. Yeah, that would be great. What lawyer did you use to expatriate? I can, if you send me a message privately, I will send you the name. I just finished my Panama relocation guide, not a guide. Well, I call it a guide, which means for people who are just thinking about relocating to Panama. And then now I'm working on the referral guide, which means you're going to have your lawyers, your hairdressers, your drivers, because that's a big thing. People need drivers to pick him up from the airport, driver to take him around. A lot of us do not drive. And what we do, we would hire a driver for the day to take us here and there. And there are a lot of them doing that. So that is a nice business. In fact, we were thinking of having our own little group of drivers just for us expats because apparently I heard some things about Uber that we're not too crazy about. But anyway, but Uber is here. We don't have, is it, what's the other one? I want to say Links, but it's not Links. We don't have, we only have Uber as a ride share. After I retired, no more full time to me. Well, as a retired person, you are not allowed to work here for a Panamanian company. Let's say you could not work for a hospital or for a doctor's office. But there is a way for you to start your own business and hire Panamanians to run it. You can do that. Or anything you do online, remote, is fine. And Panama doesn't tax you on income that you earn online. Okay. Yeah, your Spanish definitely that's gonna help. Soap operas, yeah. What take long, Auntie? All right, guys. They have InDrive here, which is another ride share, but it's not as regulated as Uber, so I've never used them. I don't know. Um, L- Lyft, right? Lyft is the other one that you can use over there. We don't have that here. Hola, Xavier. Thank you. You just discovered us. That's wonderful. But you know, I remember going back home in February, the cost of Uber was crazy. I was going like 5 miles. It was like 20 some dollars. And I'm like, ooh, let me go back to Panama because we pay like $3, $3 to $4. Because if it's $5, to me, it's expensive in the city. Mm-hmm. InDrive, yeah, we do have InDrive here. I can even speak to the office personnel here in. Oh my goodness, yeah. But you know, they have people here we call fixers, and what they do, there is because you know, with so many people coming to Panama, people have started businesses. People, we have chefs cooking for people. I'm amazed at how many women come to me here and say, "I don't know how to cook," and I'm like, "What? How'd you raise a family?" I'm all about cooking my food. You know, I could. I'm too bougie about that, and I like my food done a certain way. I don't like to use, artificial stuff. So I can't trust someone to cook for me. I mean, if I'm sick, that's another story. But for me to cook for myself, I like to know what's going into my food, and I cook for myself. But people have chefs coming and cooking for them, and this guy. Even Sherry's husband the other day, he posted something about how to eat for less than $10 a day. More power to them. We have people doing housekeeping for all these expats. These women do not want to hold them up, okay? They want somebody to come and clean their home. So we have lots of people doing housekeeping. Uber drivers, they pick you up from the airport, they start talking to you. Next thing you know, they have a collab. Oh, could you take me over here? Take me over there. So people have their personal drivers that way. The fixer, though, is someone who helps an expat, a foreigner, transition here. They will take you around. They will take you to your attorney's office. They'll go, well, even though the attorney goes with you to immigration, but wherever you want to go shopping, you want to the doctor, they'll take you. And they even assist you with opening your bank account, which could be tedious here. They take you to get your driver's license if you want to drive. So we call those fixers. But there's a cost for it, right? And they take you on excursion if you want to visit here, visit there. And sometimes I get people named, they're like, oh, they're expensive. Well, supply and demand. If they see a lot of us coming here, they're going to yank the prices. And then that brings us to the issue of gentrification. People ask me, if, is there a problem here in the city? I can't say that I have felt it, but I'm not going to say no because some prices definitely have increased here. And in Panama, the rainy season, things are cheaper. Because I tell you what, people don't want to come here and be in the home and be rained out several times a week. I love the rain. I love when it rains, right? But by December, going to like May is high season because we have Carnival and you have Christmas, you got New Year. So lots of people come here. Then the rent prices are going to go up and also the hotel prices and occupancy, right? So if you want to come to Panama, come during the rainy season. If you like the rain, but I don't like to be on a plane when it's storming. So we could do teletherapy. No need to go in person while we are on the beach. Yes, you could do that too. There are quite a few psychologists here who are still in practice doing part time, and they do telehealth. They do everything remotely. And we have some social workers who are mental health therapists also here doing. And in the city, the internet is pretty stable, even though sometimes it goes off, but generally it's stable. Hmm. My moving to Panama was like untraditional. My first visit, I stayed and received my guidance, boots on the ground, and video on YouTube like yours. In addition, I found a wonderful immigration firm. Yeah, I didn't go on a tour. I didn't have anybody take me around. I like to find things on my own. So, but I made multiple visits, whereas there are a lot of people, not a lot, some people now who come here sight unseen. They're better than I because I need to just like I thought I was gonna be in Ghana, and then I went to Ghana and I was like, no, that's not gonna work for me. I went to Rwanda. I'm like, no. So you have to know where you're at and what's important to you. And some people do it sight unseen, and I'm like, more power to you. I don't recommend it, but they do it. Several people have come here. I'm like, have you been here before? Nope. Okay. Hey, Miss Maggie. Hi, Crystal. You're a breath of fresh air. Thank you. Love your frankness and willingness to share your experiences. Of course. That's what I'm here for. Healthcare is so important. I'll be relocating next year. Looking forward to Great. Just make sure you do your homework. Okay, sis? If you're less than 64, rush over here and sign up for a plan because I understand if you sign up before you're 65, then they're not going to kick you off when you turn to be 65. Okay? But even though there is a plan by a particular, there's a hospital here called Hospital Santa Fe, and they have a private plan. It's a private hospital. So they say, if you come to our hospital, we have a few doctors, you go to our doctors. It's almost like a PPO. It's like you have a plan, and then you have to go to their hospital if you have anything happen to you. So that way they're able to control the costs. But they also say, that you have to, for insurance companies here, when you're older, you have to have labs. And if you're 65, they want to do labs. For a woman, you'd have to have a mammogram. They want a colonoscopy. They want to this and that EKG. They want to be sure you're clean, that you're not going to bring anything in. And then if, let's say, you had cancer, if you've had a history of cancer, it's almost impossible for you to get any coverage here in Panama, okay? But if you have hypertension, diabetes, and they're like, is it control? They may say, okay, because you have these diagnoses, we're going to cover you, but not for the first 12 months or 24 months. Listen, that is the reality. And you need to know what you're getting yourself into because that is the way the system works here. And we have some Panamanian local plans for Panamanians, and we have a lot of foreigners here who are younger. They have access to those plans for real cheap, but they're young and healthy. But if you have pre-existing condition, they have to review everything before they make a decision. So that is what we're dealing with here in Panama. Too late. Too late. Yeah. So if you're over 65, it's like, okay, what are my options? Medicare Advantage, mini med for some people for like day-to-day routine stuff, or hospital Santa Fe. Now, there is another plan with the hospital called San Fernando, Hospital San Fernando. And I think this one also has pre existing condition clauses. And you have to be in their hospital for everything that you need done, any surgery. But it's a really like an American hospital. So, in terms of care, I don't think there is any difference, right? Somebody put a comment in my on my channel, I think yesterday, saying, just like this young lady says, um, if you go to a public hospital, you still have to pay before you leave, or they're going to hold you hostage. I mean, those are strong words. I think she was a tongue in cheek saying that. But this person said, oh, they tried to, what does she call it? What is it? They told somebody, oh, you need $10,000 for this, or we're not going to treat you, whatever. I don't know anything about that, right? But the hospital can tell you based on your presentation, depending on what the issue is with you, they anticipate how much it's going to take them to take care of you. And that's their price. You don't get to say, well, can we bargain it? I don't know that you can. That is their price. If there is no insurance for them to bill for you, they're gonna say, okay, we want to charge 50. Somebody had like an open heart surgery and ended up being like 18 or $30,000. And they don't have payment plan, I don't think. I'm saying I don't think, right? So it's not like you're gonna say, well, can I sign? I'm gonna send you $100 a month like we do over there. Mm-mm. And there's no law that says they have to take care of you. Before they take care of you, they want to see that you can pay. That's what you need to understand. And that's why the locals, the people who can't afford the private insurances, go to the public hospitals. And then, you have delays, you waiting. And when I was in the hospital this week with this person, and this sister said, well, this reminds me of Detroit. And I said, well, minus the gunshots and everything else, but the crowds and the waiting, yes. And I'm like, oh, let me get my mask. I'm coming to Panama. We got the whole crew, nurse, OT, speed PT. Wow, that's amazing, Linda. That's amazing. Yep. But Panama, you can't work. But you know what? If you were to be hooked up with a hospital in the States and they allow you to continue to work over here while they are your de facto employer, you could do it. Let's say we have a hospital here that is associated with John Hopkins, right? Let's say you're working in the research department or whatever, and then you get dispatched to Panama. You could still be working for John Hopkins. They're paying your salary, your benefits, and everything. Yeah, you could do that. You're just not allowed to work for a Panamanian company. But some people get something we call a work permit for certain things. And then Panama has a list of what they call protected professions. So all professional careers are designed for the ciudadanos, the Panamanians. So anything to do with healthcare, law, even beautician and everything, it's all protected. So you can't go to, I don't know, people do it under the table, but legally you cannot work for a Panamanian corporation where they're paying taxes for you and giving you a paycheck. No. Ooh, it's thundering again. And we already had rain this morning. Did we have rain this morning? Yeah, I woke up to thunder. I love the rain though. Oh, but I have to go out. No bueno. In Panama, when you go out, you have your purse, like my crossbody, because you rub me once, you're not gonna rub me twice. So I have my crossbody, and then I always have a bag with an umbrella, water, A sweat rag. You need a sweat rag in Panama because if you go out in the middle of the day, you are going to sweat. I have a couple of fans because whoo, you could be sitting there and fanning yourself, and masks, hand sanitizer. So you're ready. So if I have 2 or 3 bags, all my bags are packed with the essentials. Oh, and wipes. Oh my gosh. Listen, you guys, I'm going to have a consultation call at 6. So, are there any other questions? Well, I'm so glad you guys tuned in today. I almost didn't do it. I was like, I don't know, and I just put a note in the chat and on the website because not the website, the YouTube channel. I'm like, maybe they've forgotten about it. So let's do this every Saturday at 4 o'clock. All right. Oh yes. But with what I'm hearing in the States now, the kids don't have to be vaccinated. They're probably going to tell you shouldn't wear masks. They're going to make it impossible for you to get a COVID test. This is mayhem, y'all. You might have to come to Panama if you need a COVID vaccine. Because here now they recommend that people my age, we get the influenza once a year. We get the pneumonia vaccine still every 5 years. You need the RSV vaccine they recommend for people my age. I had COVID in 2020, so my lungs are like I have to be careful. And shingles. Several sisters had shingles here, so I had chickenpox as a child. I'm not immune. I can still get shingles, so they have the 2-part vaccine that I can take here. So, if you're traveling to the States, don't bank on being able to get your COVID vaccine or whatever over there because they're going the opposites, that vaccines are not helpful and blah, blah, blah. And I don't get caught in talking to anybody who says, I don't believe in vaccine, they hurt, blah, blah, blah. I think I've had 3 or 4 vaccines after I had COVID and all that, so I'm good. Everybody makes your decision for yourself based on the data that you have or who you follow, what you believe. I'm a I'm a clinician. I know vaccines protect and help people. Okay. When I was a nurse, for the longest time, I did not take the flu vaccine because I was healthy. And I'm like, I don't need that. I'm going to wear a mask. And we had an option to not take it. And then when I became a nurse practitioner, I didn't have that option. It was like, you're a provider, you're going to be going in those nursing home back and forth. You need to have the vaccine. And I had to get it. It's a choice. Remember all the mess that was going on, people getting fired, people leaving, going on TV and all that. I'm like, whatever. I never got involved in that. Okay. Let's see. I think my person is sending me a text. Any other questions, you guys? Yes, it's mayhem. The whole crew is here. No, okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I was so happy to see all my old friends. Oh my God, Nercida, Carol. Who else was there again? Somebody else. But thank you for watching. Oh, Ishi. Yes, Noel. So nice to see you guys. Thank you. I will be here next Saturday. And if I'm traveling or whatever, I'll be sure to post it. Thank you, Greta. uh, Listen, OT, speech, PT, nurses, all these, as we get older, we're going to need some of that help. But anyway, what we're trying to do at SWRA is get all that laid out for us so that when it comes to the time where we need that help, we're not scratching our head and running around with a chicken with our head cut off. We need to understand the system, how the system works. It's different. And if you're here, it's because you choose to be here. Therefore, it's up to you to learn the system and see how you can work within the system, right? Don't criticize it. No one asked you to come. You decided to come, therefore. And I hear, oh, Panama this, Panama that. Panama was fine, did not ask you to come. So if you decide to come, it's up to you to see how you can live within the system here in Panama, not the other way around. It's not going to change for you, right? Okay. All right, Linda. So good to see you all. Greta, Auntie, Michael, Xavier, Stasha, Sierra, Merci. I don't know if they're still watching or not. But anyway, thank you so much, guys. I'm going to go off. I know, right? I don't know if I'm going to do a salad or a soup, so we'll see. All right. Hasta luego. Nos vemos. Hasta la próxima semana. Chao, chao. Greta.